The Guy Dawson Show is live at the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.com. And the illustrious Kwan, you had a question for Dr. Tejero.
Yes, when we had a break, I was thinking how people can verify some of you're talking about are rumors, some are really what's going on, what's happening, the facts.
Right. So people can, because as a public servant or going for a public office, there are certain things that we're required to file. We're required to file financial disclosures, and we're required to report publicly who it is that donates to us at a certain capacity and how we spend our money. So if it's a state candidate, you can go to the Secretary of State website and look for contributions and the reports of those contribution and expense reports. So they're made public, and they're filed usually quarterly. For presidential races, they're filed monthly on a federal level. And for congressional candidates, they're filed on a quarterly basis too. So for the federal candidates, you would go to fec.gov. And for the state candidates, you would go to the Secretary of State's website, and you'd look under the election, and you'd look for specifically the contribution and expense reports that are filed. So you see those. You can actually look and see who paid who what.
So if people have a question on those numbers, they have someone they can call to ask why the numbers like that wasn't what I know about.
Well, the numbers kind of speak for themselves, and you could ask someone who perhaps has had a congressional campaign or a state campaign, but you can also ask those regulatory bodies as well. So you can actually call the Federal Election Commission and say, hey, I have this person running, and I see this expense, and I don't really understand it. And so you can set up a query to ask what it is that this is about. And for the Secretary of State's office, the same thing. You can ask people inside of those offices if you have questions.
So very transparent.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But what we found is for, like I said, for Miss Fiore, she did not disclose those debts. So it would not have been in the public venue. So her voters would not have been able to see that until now. And now that it's public information because an article was written about it, then the voters now know about it. So that's why we have to highlight these things when they come out into the public view. For Mr. Roberson, not everybody knew that he had all of these PACs. Now the article has exposed that. We can actually go back and see that, yes, you can verify and see that he actually does have these PACs, that they're actually registered, and that the reporter did their job in looking to see. Because on those, on the Secretary of State side, you can look for it by the person's name that manages it or the name of the PAC. And so obviously the reporter put in his name and found every single political entity in the state that he was tied to. And on a federal level, you can also go through and go by name. So you can go by contributor or you can go by candidate, and you can find these things. And you can go by PACs too.
Yeah, we've been talking about this at the level of Nevada state politics, but there are a lot of questionable things that are being done on a much higher scale in the, higher levels of government.
Yes, there are, and as I said, the voters today are tired of some of these crony capitalist type things that are going on because they see their money being fleeced from them and being given to crony friends. And that happens on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't happen on just one side of the aisle. And we were talking about a fairly high presidential candidate who had a foundation, who's been getting money, and then mysteriously through a position that she held, then those things get approved a little bit faster or a little bit more consistently than they would haphazardly if they were going through the process. So a little bit of expedited care, or perhaps making sure that things were done one way so that that individual could get that passed. We have people who take out loans that don't disclose them, and therefore that becomes an issue. So that became an issue for one of the Republican candidates. Now they deal with them, they might go back and amend these things, but overall, it's the fact that they were not totally transparent that I think bothers the American people.
This is the second time that you've run for Congress. What's it like being a part of a political campaign?
It's a lot of hard work. You don't get paid for being a candidate. So it's literally heart and soul. It is getting out into the community. It is talking to a lot of people. It's not just punching the clock 9 to 5, or in our casino industry, whatever your shift is. It's not shift work. It is continuous work, and it's really, you have to have a love for public service to do it, because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of time.
So how you manage the time with your professional as a doctor?
Well, that's one of the sacrifices. I'm glad you asked that. One of my sacrifices for this race, since I do have 5 other opponents in the primary, is I cannot practice as a physician because the schedule is too long and too unpredictable to be able to do what I do, which is, as an anesthesiologist, I don't have a predictable time. So, but I'm willing, yes, I'm willing to sacrifice that because I see the future, not only for patients, for all Nevadans, and for my kids. I have 3 kids. And my passion about veterans, because my husband is a Vietnam-era veteran, there's so many things that I carry with me as a diverse candidate that I am. I carry women's issues, I carry healthcare issues, I love education, I am the product of education from a low-income family, I am fully bilingual, fully bicultural, so there's lots of things that are on my plate that perhaps aren't on some of the other opponents' candidate.
What kind of things are you hearing from people? I mean, we've gone over campaign reform, and of course that's a big issue with a lot of people. Out here in Nevada, with you being so close to the pulse of the people, because you're meeting a lot of them, what are you hearing?
Ultimately, everyone wants to have a rule of law. They want people to have a respect for their constitutional rights. They want people in Congress that are not only going to be transparent, but are going to work for real solutions, not just kicking the can down the road. So a lot of what I hear is, well, what are you really going to do? Because the last guy said that they were going to do this and they didn't do anything about it. And I have to be realistic. There are 434 other people. 3 of them, though, are in the same state. So I would think that we could come to some kind of agreement as to what Nevada needs from those 3 other individuals. But there are 431 other people that have to have a lot of the same American issues. We should work on the things that we can work on together. And I think that's what's missing. Is a lot of people just run for the next election. So they're doing things just to get through the next election versus looking in the horizon and saying, what's good for America? So a lot of the people are saying to me, will you be the same person? And I'm saying, because I've been here for 40 years and I've never changed, you can bet that I'm going to be the same person. My opponents can't say that because they haven't been here for 40 years.
You've been here 40 years?
My family's been here for 40 years. Can you believe it? Yes.
Yeah, not too many people have been in Vegas for 40 years.
And you look like in 30s. I have to tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you. I take my health very seriously right now. You'll hear my voice is a little strained because I do have a little bit of a cold. But I take care of myself, and I help other people take care of themselves by giving them good advice. So I eat well. I try and sleep as much as I can, although my staff says that I'm like the Energizer Bunny, and I start early in the morning and I don't finish until late at night. But I do. I drink plenty of water. By the way, anybody who wants a special secret is drink plenty of water. And you know what? Keep a good attitude about everything that you're doing. And if you're working in truth, it's a lot less stressful than people who are lying all the time. So
Dr. Annette Tejero is a candidate for District 3 Congress. And again, thank you so much for stopping by, and we wish you nothing but success in your upcoming political campaign.
Thank you, and I encourage all your viewers to go to AnnetteForCongress.com and follow us and share on Facebook.
And we also want to thank all of you for watching The Guy Dawson Show. Please visit our website, WCOBM.com, and you can also watch archives of the show on the page that says The Guy Dawson Show. Say bye, illustrious Quan.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
We will see you all next week.